Yeah, okay, we'll make a start. Seamus DeFreet is my own name here, and I'm the grants processing manager here with SUSI. Suppose just to give you a quick background in relation there to SUSI, first of all. SUSI was set up back in 2012, and it took over the jobs of the local authorities and the VECs or the ETBs, there as they are now, in relation to giving out grants in relation to further and higher education. So there was 66 different awarding authorities there originally. So 33 local authorities and 33 VECs. So what SUSI did is that it brought it all there under one roof. So initially, back in 2012, there was difficulties, I suppose. So kind of and every year since then, I suppose SUSI, we've worked in relation to improving our processes and to ensure that people they are getting paid on time. So I suppose, as well as that, I suppose kind of SUSI kind of in the first year we looked after just new applications, and then every year then we'd say kind of we're looking after the new applications plus first years in the second year plus the second years in the third year. So now kind of this year we have the new applications in 3 years thereof renewals, you know. So, and I suppose the important thing as well in relation to postgrads, so any new applications in relation to postgrads from 2012 onwards, these have all been dealt with there by SUSI. So just to go through the main slides in relation to the postgrads anyway, just go through the scheme itself. So every decision that SUSI does is based on an actual scheme. There's a new student grants, there's a student act that came out in 2011, and then there's a student scheme that's produced by government each year. So every decision that's made by SUSI, it's based on the legislation, okay? That's the first point. So back to that, we deal with new and renewal applications. They're on an annual basis. So to give you an idea of the size of the operation that we have with SUSI at this stage, so like kind of this is our largest year, in the sense that we have over 60,000 new applications and 50,000 thereof the renewal applications. So of those applications, 85,000 awards, I suppose, will come out of that. And I suppose in relation to our website as well, you know, I suppose kind of what we're trying to do, I suppose, every year is that kind of we don't want to waste students' time in relation to making the application. So we have a reckoner now on the site as well, and I'll go through that there in detail there in a minute, we'll say. I suppose, so we want to, so there's 85,000 awards there in the current year. Last year, 75,000 awards out of 103,000 applications. 60,000 awards out of 90,000 in 13-14. And 40,000 awards in 12-13, there are 70,000 applications. So that's just to give you an idea of the size of the operation there in relation to SUSI. And I suppose the other thing I suppose that SUSI did, I suppose, is that previously every awarding authority, they all had a paper-based system, and you made a paper application to each of the different bodies. What SUSI did is that they brought it all online, so it's an online application process. So we'll say kind of, so that's a very important point. So all our application process, it's all online. The other thing I suppose that where SUSI kind of I suppose that we're trying to improve in the whole time. We understand from a student perspective that the scheme itself and the rules and regulations around it, that some of it is not easy to actually go through. So I suppose what we are trying to do, kind of going back to the name we have, Student Universal Support Ireland, is that we're trying to actually go out there and assist and help students. So what we have as well is that we have a full-time call centre in operation. And I suppose again, so if students have queries, that kind of we encourage people to give us a call, to send us an email, and we're also very active in relation to being on Twitter, there on Facebook also. Okay, so again, we would encourage people to actually contact us also. So the grant types and rates. So this is very much dependent on direct middle income. In relation to postgrads, though, it's actually the rules around the income piece are actually very simple. You know, because in relation to fees, we'll say kind of, if you are eligible for a grant, it's this bottom line here. We'll say that we will pay a sum of €2,000 in relation to postgrad fees. If you're in relation to the income limits, I'll come back to that in a second. That was basically, if you think of it, that if direct middle income in relation to your application is less than 31,500, you may be entitled to a grant of up to €2,000 towards your fees, or if you are entitled to a special rate of grant. So again, we'd say that the rates for the special rate of grant are a lot lower, and you'd also have to be in receipt of social welfare income. So I think so the rate for that is income less than 23,000. So for the household, 22,703, you may be entitled to an increased level of up to 6,270. Again, I suppose just going back to overall figures in relation to SUSI, and kind of I suppose the kind of very good question is kind of how many postgrads are part of the 110,000 applications. So about 5,000 applications are postgrads every year. So kind of and there isn't the big difference between undergrad and postgraduate is that there's actually no maintenance payment in relation to the postgrad. So the only thing that SUSI contributes to in relation to postgrads is the €2,000. Okay. So again, this bit here about the maintenance grants, it doesn't apply there to postgrads. So if you don't take anything else from my presentation, if you just recall that you may be that if the household income is less than 31,500, you may be entitled to a fee grant, a contribution towards the fees of up to €2,000, or if your income is less than 22,703, it may be increase up to a maximum of 6,270, and that would be the maximum amount that we would pay there in any event. Again, to be eligible for a grant, I suppose I look at this that there's a number of key pillars. There's a number of boxes that you have to tick first of all before we even look there at the income. And again, the same rules would apply here for both undergrad there and postgrad. So nationality-wise, so you're talking about being an Irish, EU, EA, Swiss national, or if you have leave to remain in the state, okay? So that's the first tick. The second thing then, that you have to be resident in Ireland, or the EU, or the EA or Switzerland for 3 of the last 5 years, okay? And unfortunately, every year we do see people that don't meet that criteria there also. Back to Valerie's point, progressing. You have to be progressing through education. So we'll say, as explained there to the undergrads, you've done your leaving certificate, you're going on maybe doing a PLC or to do the undergrad, you're progressing through your college, and we'll say so if you have your undergrad done and going on to do a postgrad, you will qualify. But if, however, you already have a postgrad qualification, so a level 9 to level 9, you won't qualify. Okay? So that's a very important point also. Approved colleges do an approved course. Okay? So while you may go off and have the option of doing a part-time postgrad, SUSI will only cover a full-time postgrad. Okay? So that's a very important point as well. So it's only full-time postgrad courses that we actually cover in approved colleges. So approved colleges would be all of the ITs, they're plus the universities. Okay, so they're the 4 key things. So if you're taking yes to those 4 questions, we then look at the rectangle income. Okay. Now, as it says, the rectangle income, this here is in relation to undergrad, so it doesn't come into play. But the other thing, I suppose, that when I mentioned a figure, I'll show it on the website, of €31,500. And again, that's the rectangle income of the household. So when we're looking at a postgrad application, we have to see, we'll say, are you applying to us as an independent student or as a dependent student, I suppose, okay? So, and this again goes back to your first point of entry there to college. So if we have assessed you previously, we'll say if you were under 23 and we assessed you as a dependent would be your income plus that there of your parents, okay? While independent then we'll say would be that you are actually over 23 and we'll say that you can prove to us that you are living independently. We'll say that you have bills in your own name, we'll say your the household bills, the rents, the rental agreement and everything else, we'll say. So every year, unfortunately, there's a small number of students will say that they tell us, look, that they are an independent student, but they are unable to prove it. I suppose the other important point, I suppose, as well, is that if you have been a dependent student, we'll say, okay, that you can come back to us and apply as an independent student, okay? But there has to be a 3-year break in studies. So if you got your undergrad qualification back in 2011, we'll say you finished in and we'll say so you've taken now 4 years out and you're going back next year. That's 5 years. you kind of, we would, and if you're over 23, we could assess you then as being an independent student once you can prove to us, once all your proofs are actually in order. Okay? So that's the criteria to be eligible. Again, I suppose we don't want to bombard people with too much information at this stage of the year. So I suppose just some key messages there at this stage. Kind of, I suppose that everything we do, it's all online, it's all on our website. So we would encourage students to go onto our website, to visit our website, you know, kind of, and, you know, kind of that they can go in and ask all the questions. Kind of the other thing that we had developed over the last number of years is a reckoner. And again, it asks the key questions, it goes down through the application. So it will give you an indication or not, kind of, are you wasting your time or should you apply there to SUSI? Okay, so it's all online. The CAO option, or for in your perspective, it'll be it's the PAC option. There's a question as part of that application, I think, will say kind of to link your information to SUSI. Again, I suppose kind of the thing about that is that instead of us writing out to you and we'll say next August and September wondering did you get a course or what course you've actually there gotten, is that they will contact us directly in relation there to that. Okay, so that's just an important point at the early the early part of when people are considering courses, that even when you're filling up the PAC kind of their application form, to tick yes. Okay. Apply early. Now, I suppose a common question: what's early by SUSI standards in relation to kind of in the first year we only open in June, and every year that we try to push that date back the whole time. I suppose kind of last year we opened on the 23rd of April, and again we'd be looking for an early April, so they're opening there next year. Okay, and I suppose kind of what we try and do then I suppose is that people who apply early will say kind of applications, for instance this year, that all applications that were received for new students before the 1st of August, they were prioritised, you know, so we would encourage students to apply early. The amount of, I suppose, incomplete applications, I suppose kind of every year, I suppose kind of we get to probably around 1/3 of applications we have to go out and we have to go back out and ask students for information again. We'll say that the period that we asked for in relation to their independent residence wasn't covered, you know, that they've come back with some of the documents. So again, it does lead to a quicker process if you can kind of compile all your information and get it all back to us together. Okay? Self-employed. If you are self-employed, or if there is self-employed income, you know, I suppose kind of these are actually at the tail end of the year now. It says kind of these are the applications that we are dealing with. Like, you know, I suppose people have self-employed have up to the 31st of October each year in which to make tax return. Okay, but we'll say we can't assess your SUSI application until we have a receipt to show that the tax return is actually made. I suppose the other key thing around SUSI, another key message around SUSI as well, I suppose, is that we have direct links into both revenue and the Department of Social Protection. You know, so I suppose kind of we won't be writing out, in most cases we won't be writing out, you're looking for your social welfare statement or your P60 for the year, you know, because we have a direct link there to revenue. Things are more tricky though when it comes to self-employed, I suppose, in that what we will require to see, we'll say kind of that you have your tax return made, but we will also need to see a full set of trading accounts. Okay, and again we'll say kind of so this is just determined if you're going to meet the criteria at the household income of being less than 31,500. Okay, so again these are just the contacts, how you can, you know, to go on our website. You can send us an email, support@SUSI, on Facebook, to Twitter, and also the support desk also.